And then to watch Tim, by the way, go through the fucking Wikipedia on a federal conviction where there are, like, to watch somebody try to figure out what somebody's charged with a crime for and not just Google the charging document when it's like it's an insanely public federal case. Like, he knew all of this. Not only did he know it all, he knew it all like as he was on the ground reporting about it 10 years ago, I guess, when he was a contractor for Vice. And to see him 180 completely today because the money's there for it is so fucking disgusting.
Our friend Destiny is back at it again. We have this woke streamer, this idiot Destiny, is now going so crazy, going so unhinged. And we know that if you've been watching this channel, if you've been following Destiny, David Pakman at all, ever since Donald Trump won the 2024 election, they have been losing their minds. Like, it's getting really bad for how unhinged these people like Destiny are getting. This is one of the worst ones that I have seen yet from him. This is, you know, he's called for people like Tim Pool to be taken off of platforms and everything like that before. He literally calls in this video for Tim Pool to be thrown in jail for being a traitor to America. That is nuts, man. That's taken the derangement syndrome to an entirely new level. Let's get into this clip here where Destiny just loses his mind, man. Just a whole new level of freak out about Tim Pool and the stuff that he's been saying. He really just because Tim Pool's exposing the woke left for the lies that they just constantly tell. Let's get into this clip here where Destiny calls for Tim Pool to be thrown in jail. Let's check this out.
Let's just take 1 second. What does Luke like? 21? 22?
Yeah.
Newish to internet content, a couple years, steps into the lion's den with like fucking 5 or 6. There was one time where the camera changed. I was like, who is this guy? There's like another conservative.
Yeah, they actually like wheeled somebody else. They're like, shit, we have some real estate here. Yeah.
And there's, yeah, and I'm like, and simultaneously, I would like to blaze Luke for, I don't know if this is intentional or if it was just his demeanor, okay? But it was so funny that, because and I'm not making fun of him, but he has kind of, I don't know if I would say like an aloof demeanor.
Very.
I was really worried watching Tim go on that rant about whatever. And Luke was just kind of like sitting there, kind of like looking and not interrupting. I'm like, oh, Luke doesn't know any of the facts on this. And I just remember by the 6 or 7 minute end of this, Luke was like, wait, you're going to admit that all of you guys were completely and totally wrong on all of that, right?
I don't think I was wrong.
You didn't know. You didn't read it. You didn't read the court papers. Communications? What communications? What did he say? What did he do?
Oh my God! Like, listen to this guy.
Enrique Tarrio crafted a memo outlining who they.
Tim is discovering this live. Oh no!
So, are you gonna at all acknowledge that you just blew up over something that I was absolutely citing fairly?
It's crazy how these leftists, they're all the same person, I swear. But it's wild how these leftists turned this clip into a win for Luke Beasley. It was very obviously, if you watch the entire thing, like if you cut it up like this, maybe you could turn it into a win for Luke. But if you watch the entire thing, I mean, it was very, very obvious that Tim Pool won this exchange, and not by a little bit, but by a very large margin. You know, this was very much a W for Tim Pool, so much so that it went pretty viral. You know, everybody saw these clips where Tim Pool destroyed Luke Beasley on Timcast, and a lot of people, not just Destiny, but, you know, David Pakman did the same thing. They all turned this into a W for Luke Beasley. I don't even understand. Like, I can't understand how they do that, because that's kind of their job, to play these mental gymnastics and play into the echo chamber that is the left wing. But how do people on the left that watch these people not pick up on the fact that that's what they're doing and continue to take them seriously? It just blows my mind. I mean, let me know in the comments if you guys agree or disagree that this was a huge W for Tim Pool, or if you also think this was a win for Luke Beasley. I think it was pretty obviously a W for Tim Pool, but these people like David Pakman and Destiny turned it into a win for Luke. I don't get it. And so much so that, like you're going to see in a second here, Destiny's going to call for Tim Pool to be thrown in jail.
He's 22 years old, and he's in a room with 4 other people that sit here and do these stupid shows every single day, and not a single one of these disgusting Russian puppet treasonous, not a single one of them even knows enough to give the bullshit counter arguments, let alone the actual fact. Oh, who the f is this guy? How many conservatives did they have to roll up for this kid?
And then they move on. Yeah, I mean,
There were like 5 of them in there. And after Tim does this whole thing about like, you don't know the facts, you don't know the case, you haven't read anything, you're just giving it a liberal, blah, 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 blah. And then Luke's like, well, let's go read this. And then to watch Tim, by the way, go through the fucking Wikipedia on a federal conviction where there are, like, to watch somebody try to figure out what somebody's charged with a crime for and not just Google the charging document when it's like the most, it's an insanely public federal case. And they're like, well, what's the evidence for this? I was like, he was convicted, you moron, right? It's not just a tweet. But Luke eviscerated.
He killed it.
It was insane.
My favorite part, besides, I mean, the one that went the most viral was that moment. It was the first, like the 3-minute clip of just like Tim screaming at Luke. That was the thing that went viral. Then Benny Johnson, for some dumb reason, presumably because he didn't watch the end of his own clip,
or because he was getting paid by somebody at the Kremlin. But go ahead.
Potentially, comrade. By the way, you did this thing. I don't know if it's Tim Pool. You did this thing the other day, and I was listening to you. I had you in my back pocket. I think I was at the gym, and it was Dave Smith or somebody. That's who it was. Anytime he would speak, I heard like music in the background. I kept thinking like I was sitting, like it was like, is this an ad or something?
Oh no, that's just what he sounds like when he talks.
Right, you're playing. That's
what he sounds like when he talks.
These Russian anthems. But anyway, yeah. So at the end of that 7-minute clip that Benny Johnson shared is exactly what you were talking about. Them fact checking themselves in real time, and you can just see Tim wilt. And that's when Luke says, or we're just gonna skip over what you said. But to me, the funnier one, and it's petty, because anybody could have made this mistake, was a few minutes later. They were talking about allegations against
If you enjoy content like this, to make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
prominent conservatives, like, for example, Pete Hegseth, who has been accused of sexual misconduct. And Tim Pool goes on this whole spiel. He's like, do you believe so-and-so, so-and-so, and so-so? And then he drops another name. And he meant to say Christine Blasey Ford, who was the woman who accused Brett Kavanaugh, current Supreme Court justice. But he f***ed up her name. Again, anybody could do this. He's like, do you believe Christine Hoff Sommers? And Luke says, wait, which one was that? And he said, that was the woman who accused Brett Kavanaugh. He's like, oh, yeah, I believe her. And he's like, do you remember all this and that? And Luke said the responsible thing. He's like, well, listen, if we're going to debate that, I'd want to brush up on the facts and everything, blah, blah, blah. And Tim ends it with, the difference between conservatives and liberals is, knowing what you're talking about. But he f***ed up her name. And so to me, it's like, that's like to be the ultimate Tim Pool microcosm there, like going out of your way to lecture somebody on how much they know or don't know, and you get even their fucking name wrong.
Christine Hoff Sommers, she was popular for all of a hot minute as like the anti-feminist feminist or something, right? I remember her, yeah. I can't believe there were so many stupid things. He tried to lecture him on, you don't know anything about defamation per se or whatever, and Tim didn't even know what that meant, and he gave an incorrect assessment of what that even meant. And then he did he ran through the gamut of every false fact he knew about every case. Do you know about Ahmaud Arbery or whatever? And then he went to the George Floyd, and then he's just, you want to know what makes me the most angry about Tim? Why I wouldn't feel bad seeing him like locked up for the crimes that he's committing against my country. You know what made me the most angry about Tim? And I think it's the most scathing indictment of their character. You've seen the Tim Pool thing. Ukraine is the enemy of the people. We owe Russia to or whatever bullshit. Did you know that Tim was on the ground during Euromaidan in 2014?
No,
did I ever say? He has a whole Reddit thread where he's doing an AMA about Euromaidan, and he's answering questions. They're like, oh, what's it like? Then he's like, I'm on the ground. There's a lot of genuine fervor from the people. There's like hundreds of thousands of people out here. And they're like, oh, like, does it seem like are there so many specific questions that he'll be completely contradictory to today. They're like, oh, is there far right protests? He's like, there's like a few people that are trying to stir shit up, but like for the most part, no, it's just a ton of people. And he's like, why are they protesting? And it's like, they have genuine angst because the leader seemed like he wanted to go pro-Russia and the people of Ukraine wanted to be pro-European. Like, he knew all of this. Not only did he know it all, he knew it all like as he was on the ground reporting about it 10 years ago, I guess, when he was a contractor for Vice. And to see him 180 completely dated because the money's there for it is so fucking disgusting to me.
It's sad, but he's hardly the only like formerly credible journalist. Like Matt Taibbi is another great example. You want to talk about a guy who's just, he's just killed his own credibility. Michael Schellenberger,
I don't know, man. I spoke with somebody about Schellenberger a while ago. I wonder sometimes if these guys were ever good or if they just got really lucky with some story.
Possible. Yeah, it's possible. I know Taibbi was, I don't want to say a household name, but he was like pretty reputable as far as journalists were concerned. But like, you want to talk about a guy who's just become like a token conservative mouthpiece. I mean, I am not aware of a position, and again, maybe they're out there because I don't follow his account, but I'm not aware of a major conservative position when it comes to speech that Taibbi and Schellenberger don't sim for. I mean, Schellenberger is out here taking the conservative position on the LA wildfires, right? Just the budget was cut and all this shit. And so there's just,
I don't know about you guys, but this seems I don't know. It's just massive cope in my opinion. This is kind of what they're known for now. This is what Destiny does, what David Pakman does. Maybe I'm the one that's going crazy. I don't know. Sometimes I watch these videos and they do a good job at making me feel hold on, maybe I'm the crazy one, because I interpreted this same exact situation completely different from the way Destiny did or David Pakman did or any of these leftists did. But also the other video that I'm posting today, I don't know if I'm posting it before or after this one, but regardless, it was this guy on Piers Morgan who, it was literally not the same situation, but pretty close, if not worse than the Luke Beasley, Tim Pool situation. It was a guy saying that Pete Hegseth has an extremist tattoo. And Michael Knowles was like, what is that tattoo? And he was like, I have no idea what the tattoo is. He tried to dance around it, but he eventually came to the conclusion, and he was like, all right, I'll just admit it. I don't know what the hell the tattoo is. And this is what leftists do. Because the machine state, like Tim Pool said to Luke Beasley, because the machine state told these people like Destiny and David Pakman and these people to say certain things, to believe certain things, they just believe it blindly. Whereas, I don't want to say all conservatives, but it's a whole lot more likely on the right wing that when we're told things, we kind of say, okay, that's nice, but I want to look up the facts for myself. And I'm not going to say everybody does that, because not everybody does that. So there's people on the right wing that are definitely, a part of an echo chamber too. But the entire left wing does this thing where they're just like, okay, that must be the truth. I don't need to look into the facts. I don't need to know what the extremist tattoo is. That suits my narrative, so I'm just going to run with that. Sounds good with me. That's what they do. And that's what Tim Pool's accusing, people like Destiny, people like David Pakman, and in particular Luke Beasley in that clip of doing. And they proved Tim Pool right over and over and over again. And so I just find this to be one giant cope here from Destiny and this other guy that he's sitting down with. But I'm curious to see what you guys have to say in the comments. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about Destiny saying that Tim Pool should be thrown in jail for treason, for being a traitor to his country for this stuff. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole Destiny versus Tim Pool situation.